"Excuse me, sir. Sir!" The hoarse, desperate voice echoed through the busy streets of downtown Kansas City. Travis Kelce was in a hurry, earbuds in, lost in his own thoughts about that morning's practice, when something made him stop. It wasn't the first time someone had yelled behind him. Being an NFL star meant that happened almost every day. But there was something different about this voice, an urgency that didn't seem to come from a fan asking for an autograph. He turned around slowly, expecting to see another fan with a Chiefs jersey, and was surprised. A middle-aged man, with clothes that were visibly worn but surprisingly clean, was running toward him. His face was red from exertion, but his eyes shone with an honesty that Travis rarely saw. In the man's trembling hand was a black leather wallet that Travis immediately recognized. You dropped this back there," the man said, breathless, extending the wallet. "I ran 3 blocks after you." Travis instinctively touched the back pocket of his pants. Empty. How the hell hadn't he noticed? He looked at the man. Disheveled gray hair, worn sneakers, but upright, proud posture. This wasn't someone asking for handouts. This was someone returning something that wasn't his. Travis took the wallet, still processing. "Man, I didn't even realize I'd lost it. You really ran 3 blocks?" The man smiled, a tired but genuine smile. "The right thing to do, isn't it?" He turned to walk away, but Travis couldn't let him leave. Not like this. Not after that. "Wait, hold on," Travis called out, jogging to catch up. "What's your name?" The man stopped, turning back with a slightly confused expression. "Chester Williamson. Most people call me Chet." "Chet, I'm Travis." He extended his hand, which Chet shook firmly, despite the obvious nervousness. "Listen, I know you probably know who I am, but what you just did? That was incredible. Let me give you something for your trouble." Travis reached for his wallet, but Chet immediately raised his hands. No, I don't want anything. I told you, it was just the right thing to do. Come on, man. You ran 3 blocks in this heat. You're sweating like crazy." Travis looked around, noticing they were standing in front of a small cafe. "At least, let me buy you a coffee. I insist." Chet hesitated, looking at the cafe and then back at Travis. I don't know. I'm not exactly dressed for—" "Neither am I," Travis laughed, gesturing to his workout clothes. "Come on. It's just coffee, and I could use one myself." From across the street, Thaddeus Cromwell, a well-dressed businessman in his 50s, watched the entire interaction with growing interest. He had recognized Travis immediately, but what caught his attention was the genuine nature exchange. In his 30 years of business, Thaddeus had developed a keen eye for authentic character, and what he was witnessing was remarkably rare. Inside the cafe, Percy Ashworth, the owner, looked up from behind the counter as the bell chimed. He was a thin man in his 60s, with kind eyes and a welcoming smile. The cafe was his pride and joy, a small but cozy place that served the best coffee in this part of Kansas City. "Good afternoon, gentlemen," Percy said warmly. "What can I get for you today?" Travis looked at Chet, who seemed overwhelmed by the simple interaction. "2 coffees, and whatever pastries you'd recommend." As Percy prepared their order, Travis and Chet sat at a small table by the window. The silence between them was comfortable, but Travis could see that Chet was struggling with something. "So, Chet," Travis began gently, "you from Kansas City?" Chet nodded, staring at his hand. "Born and raised." "Well, I was. Things changed a bit over the years. What do you do for work?" The question hung in the air. Chet's jaw tightened slightly, and Travis immediately regretted asking. "Used to be an engineer," Chet said quietly. "Worked for a construction company for almost 20 years. Built bridges, designed foundations. I was good at it." "Used to be?" Chet looked up, meeting Travis's eyes for the first time since they'd sat down. "Life has a way of taking unexpected turns, doesn't it? I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Came back different. PTSD, they called it. Started drinking to quiet the noise in my head. Lost my job, then my wife, then my house. Been on the streets for about 2 years." Travis felt his chest tighten. He'd heard similar stories through his foundation work, but hearing it directly from someone who had just shown him such kindness hit differently. "I'm sorry, man. That's rough." "It is what it is," Chet said with a shrug, "but I still know right from wrong. That's why I brought you your wallet. My problems don't change who I am inside." Percy brought over their coffee and a plate of fresh croissants. "On the house," he said with a wink. "I couldn't help but overhear. Thank you for your service, sir." Chet's eyes welled up slightly. "Thank you." As they sipped their coffee, Travis found himself more and more impressed by Chet's dignity and strength. Despite everything he'd been through, there was something unbroken about. "You know," Travis said, I run a foundation. It's called 87 and Running. We help people who are going through tough times, especially veterans. Chet looked up sharply. I'm not looking for charity. I'm not offering charity. I'm just saying, if you ever need someone to talk to, or if there's anything we can help with, we're here. The conversation was interrupted by the cafe door opening. Magnolia Fairweather, a petite woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a reporter's notebook, entered and immediately noticed the unusual pair at the window table. Magnolia was known throughout Kansas City for her investigative journalism and her ability to find the human stories behind the headline. She recognized Travis immediately, but what intrigued her was the intensity of the conversation he was having with the obviously homeless man. She ordered a coffee and sat at a nearby table, not to eavesdrop, but because something about the scene felt important. In her years of journalism, she'd learned to trust her instincts about when a story was worth following. I should probably get going, Chet said, finishing his coffee. I don't want to take up more of your time. You're not taking up anything, Travis said firmly. Chet, can I ask you something? Sure. That wallet had over $300 in it. Credit cards, ID, everything. You could have just kept it, and I would never have known it was you who found it. Why didn't you? Chet looked at Travis as if the question surprised him. Because it wasn't mine. Because you worked hard for that money. Because taking something that doesn't belong to you is wrong, no matter how much you need it. Travis felt a lump form in his throat. My dad always said that character is what you do when nobody's watching. Your dad sounds like a wise man. He was. He passed away a few years ago, but he would have liked you. As they prepared to leave, Chet stood up and extended his hand again. Thank you for the coffee, Travis, and for treating me like a human being. That means more than you know. Travis shook his hand, but something inside him rebelled against letting this encounter end here. Chet, would you mind if I asked for your phone number? I'd like to stay in touch. Chet's expression became complicated. I don't have a phone right now. Things got disconnected a while back. Where do you stay? There's a shelter about 6 blocks from here, St. Joseph. I usually end up there when they have space. Travis pulled out his phone and typed a note to himself. I'm going to come by there tomorrow. Would that be okay? Chet looked puzzled. Why would you want to do that? Because meeting you today reminded me of something I sometimes forget. That the most important things in life aren't touchdowns or trophies. They're moments like this. People like you. As they walked out of the cafe together, Thaddeus Cromwell approached them. Excuse me, gentlemen. I couldn't help but witness your exchange earlier on the street. I'm Thaddeus Cromwell. He handed Travis a business card. I own a construction company here in Kansas City. What I saw today was remarkable, and I wanted you both to know that. Chet looked uncomfortable with the attention, but Travis appreciated the gesture. If either of you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call, Thaddeus continued. What I witnessed today is the kind of integrity that this world needs more of. As they parted ways, Travis watched Chet walk down the street with a mixture of admiration and determination. He had no idea that this chance encounter would set in motion a chain of events that would change both their lives forever. The next morning, Travis woke up earlier than usual, his mind still replaying the events of the previous day. He'd had trouble sleeping, thinking about Chet's story and the dignity with which he'd handled his circumstance. As he got ready for practice, Travis made a decision that would surprise even himself. Instead of heading directly to the training facility, he drove to St. Joseph's shelter. The building was older, worn but clean, with a small sign out front that read, "All are welcome." Travis parked his car and sat for a moment, wondering if he was overstepping boundaries. Inside the shelter, Seraphina Blackstone was finishing her morning round. Seraphina, known as Sarah to everyone at the shelter, had been a social worker for 15 years. She was a tall, elegant woman with prematurely gray hair and eyes that had seen too much suffering, but still held infinite compassion. "Good morning, Chet," she said, approaching him at one of the small tables where he was reading a newspaper. "How are you feeling today?" Chet looked up and smiled. "Morning, Sarah. I'm doing all right. Had an interesting day yesterday." "Oh? What happened?" Before Chet could answer, there was a commotion at the front entrance. Travis Kelce had just walked in, and several of the shelter residents had recognized him immediately. "Is that Travis Kelce?" one of the men whispered loudly. "What's he doing here?" another asked. Sarah approached Travis with professional courtesy, but obvious curiosity. "Good morning. I'm Seraphina Blackstone, the social worker here. Can I help you with something?" "Yes, ma'am. I'm looking for someone named Chet Williamson. I met him yesterday, and I promised I'd come by." Sarah's eyebrows rose in surprise. She looked back at Chet. who was now standing with a mixture of embarrassment and confusion. "Chet?" Sarah called out. "You have a visitor." As Chet approached, Travis could see he was uncomfortable with the attention they were drawing. "Hey, Chet. I hope it's okay that I came by." Yeah, sure. I just didn't expect you to actually show up." "I keep my promise," Travis said simply. "Is there somewhere we can talk privately?" Sarah, realizing the unusual nature of the situation, offered her office. "You can use my office if you'd like. I'll make sure you're not disturbed." Once they were seated in the small but comfortable office, Travis looked at Chet seriously. "I want to know more about your story, if you're comfortable sharing it." Chet was quiet for a long moment, then began to speak. "I was married to my high school sweetheart, Sarah. We had a daughter, Emma. She's 22 now, studying to be a teacher. At least, she was the last time I knew anything about her life." Travis listened without interrupting. "When I came back from Afghanistan, I wasn't the same person who left. I had nightmares, couldn't sleep, jumped at loud noises. Sarah tried to help, but I pushed her away. Started drinking to numb the pain. Lost my job because I couldn't focus, couldn't be reliable anymore." Chet's voice grew quieter. "The divorce was finalized about 3 years ago. Sarah remarried a good man, someone who can give her the stability I couldn't. Emma, she stopped talking to me about 2 years ago. Said she couldn't watch me destroy myself anymore. That must have been devastating." "It was, but she was right. I was destroying myself, and I was hurting the people I loved most by doing it." Travis leaned forward. "Are you still drinking?" "No. Been sober for 8 months now. Being homeless has a way of clarifying your priority. I realized that if I was going to live on the streets, I was going to do it with whatever dignity I had left." 8 months is huge, Chet. That's incredible. It's a start. But sobriety doesn't fix everything. I still don't have a job, still don't have a place to live, and I still don't have my family back. There was a gentle knock on the door. Sarah peered in. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here asking for you, Mr. Kelce." Travis looked confused. "For me?" "Yes. Says her name is Magnolia Fairweather. She's a reporter." Travis and Chet exchanged glances. "I know her," Travis said. "She was at the cafe yesterday. Let me go see what she wants." Travis found Magnolia waiting in the main area of the shelter, notebook in hand, but respectfully closed. "Mr. Kelce, I hope you don't mind me tracking you down. I'm Magnolia Fairweather from the Kansas City Star. I was at Percy's Cafe yesterday and witnessed your interaction with Mr. Williamson." "Okay," Travis said cautiously. "I'm not here to cause trouble or invade anyone's privacy, but what I saw yesterday was something special. I've been a journalist for 20 years, and I've seen a lot of staged charity events and publicity stunts. What happened yesterday wasn't that." Travis relaxed slightly. "No, it wasn't. I'd like to tell the story, if you and Mr. Williamson would be willing. Not for sensationalism, but because I think people need to hear about genuine human decency. Both of you showed something that's rare these days. I'd have to talk to Chet about it. This is his story too, of course. I just wanted you to know that I'm interested, and I promise to handle it respectfully." Travis returned to Sarah's office, where he found Chet and Sarah deep in conversation. "Chet, there's a reporter here. She wants to write about what happened yesterday." Chet's face immediately closed off. "No, absolutely not. I told her I'd have to talk to you. It's your choice." Sarah looked between them. "Chet, can I say something? I've known you for 2 years, and I've watched you help other people in this shelter every single day. You share your food when someone else is hungry. You give up your bed when someone's sicker than you are, and you've never asked for anything in return. That's just basic human decency, Sarah." "Exactly. And maybe that's a story worth telling." Travis sat back down. "Chet, I have to ask you something else. Yesterday you mentioned you were an engineer. What kind of engineering?" "Civil engineering, specialized in infrastructure, bridges, roads, foundations for large buildings." "That's exactly what my foundation needs." "What do you mean?" Travis took a deep breath. "We're planning to build a transitional housing facility for veterans. We need someone who understands construction, who can oversee the project and make sure it's done right." Chet stared at him. "You're offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a chance to use your skills to help people who are going through what you've—" "Travis, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I can't accept charity." "It's not charity. It's a job. A real job with real responsibility, real pay." Sarah leaned forward. "Chet, you've been looking for work for 2 years. You apply for jobs every day. This is an opportunity. But he's only offering it because of what happened yesterday." "So what?" Travis said. Yesterday showed me who you are. It showed me that you're someone I can trust, someone with integrity. Those are exactly the qualities I need for this position. Chet was quiet for a long time. I'd need to get cleaned up, get some decent clothes. We can handle all of that. The foundation has resources. I don't have reference. My last employer wouldn't give me a good recommendation. You have me as a reference. And after yesterday, you have Sarah, and probably Percy from the cafe. Sarah nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. Chet, this could be the break you've been waiting for. I need to think about it. Of course, take all the time you need. But Chet, let me ask you something. If you could design a facility that would help veterans avoid ending up on the streets, what would it look like? Despite himself, Chet's eyes lit up. It would need to be more than just housing. It would need counseling services, job training, medical care, and it would need to be designed to preserve dignity. Too many shelters make people feel like they're being warehoused. Exactly. That's why I need someone who's been through it, someone who understands. As they continued talking, Travis could see the engineer in Chet coming alive. His posture straightened, his voice became more confident, and his eyes shone with the same intelligence that had driven him to return the wallet. If I were to consider this, Chet said carefully, it would have to be a real job with real expectations. I won't be anyone's pet project. I wouldn't want you to be. I need someone who will challenge, who will tell me when I'm wrong, who will make sure we're really helping people. And I'd want to be involved in every aspect of the project. Design, construction oversight, program development. That's what I'm hoping for. Sarah watched the exchange with growing excitement. In her years of social work, she'd seen very few people get genuine second chances. This was remarkable. There's something else, Travis said. The job comes with health insurance. Chet's face pale. What? Full medical coverage. I know you've been putting off seeing a doctor. How do you know that? Because I've worked with a lot of veterans. I know the sign. You've been having chest pains, haven't you? Chet nodded reluctantly. Some, but I can't afford to get them checked out. If you take this job, you can. And you should. Today, if possible. The weight of the offer was starting to sink in. This wasn't just about employment. It was about getting his life back. I need to make a phone call, Chet said quietly. Of course, use Sarah's office for as long as you need. As Chet stepped out to make his call, Travis turned to Sarah. Tell me honestly, is he really as good as he seemed? Better, Sarah said without hesitation. Chet Williams is one of the most decent human beings I've ever met. He's been dealt a terrible hand, but he's never let it make him bitter, cruel. He helps everyone shelter, and he's never asked for anything in return. That's what I thought. That's why I want to help him. Mr. Kelce, can I ask you something? Why are you doing this? Really? Travis considered the question. Because yesterday, when he ran 3 blocks to return my wallet, he reminded me of something I'd forgotten, that there are still good people in the world, and they deserve good things to happen to them. When Chet returned, his eyes were red, but he was smiling. I called my daughter. How did it go? She answered. We talked for the first time in 2 years. I told her about yesterday, about meeting you, about the job offer. She said she was proud of me. Travis felt his own eyes getting misty. That's wonderful, man. She said she'd like to see me again, when I'm ready, when I'm back on my feet. So what do you say? Ready to start getting back on your feet? Chet looked at Travis, then at Sarah, then back at Travis. Yes, I'm ready. 3 days later, Travis and Chet were sitting in the conference room of the 87 and Running Foundation office, surrounded by blueprint planning documents. Chet had spent the morning outlining his vision for the veterans' transitional housing facility, and Travis was impressed by the depth of his knowledge and the thoughtfulness of his approach. The key, Chet was saying, pointing to a section of the plans, is to create spaces that feel like home, not institutions. Each unit should have its own entrance, its own kitchen, its own sense of privacy and dignity. Travis nodded, making notes. What about common areas? Essential, but they need to be designed carefully. Veterans dealing with PTSD need spaces where they can retreat if they become overwhelmed, but they also need opportunities for community and support. As they worked, Travis couldn't help but notice Chet occasionally winced and put his hand to his chest. It was subtle, but it was happening more frequently. Chet, are you okay? I'm fine, just tired. This is the most mental energy I've used in a long time. Have you made that doctor's appointment yet? I called yesterday. The earliest they can see me is next week. That's too long. Let me make some calls. Before Chet could protest, Travis was on his phone. Within 10 minutes, he had secured an appointment for that afternoon with Dr. Patricia Williams, a cardiologist who had worked with the foundation before. Travis, I can't afford to see a specialist. The foundation's insurance will cover it. You're an employee now, remember? But I haven't even officially started yet. You started the moment you accepted the job. Everything else is just paperwork. 2 hours later, they were sitting in Dr. Williams's office, waiting for test results. Chet had undergone an EKG, blood work, and a chest X-ray, and the doctor's expression was serious. Mr. Williamson, I'm going to be direct with you. You have a condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It's a genetic condition that causes the walls of your heart to thicken, making it harder for your heart to pump blood effectively. Travis felt his stomach drop. What does that mean? It means, Dr. Williams continued, that without treatment, this condition can be life-threatening. The good news is that it's treatable with medication and lifestyle changes. The bad news is that you've been living with this untreated for probably several years. Chet was very quiet. How long do I have? With proper treatment, you can live a normal lifespan. Without treatment? She paused. Mr. Williamson, I'm surprised you haven't had a major cardiac event already. You've been living on borrowed time. Travis reached over and put his hand on Chet's shoulder. What kind of treatment are we talking about? Medication to help regulate his heart rhythm and reduce the workload on his heart. Regular monitoring. And, potentially, if the condition worsens, surgical intervention. Cost? The medications are expensive. Without insurance, we're looking at about $1,500 a month. With good insurance, it's manageable. Chet buried his face in his hand. I can't do this. I can't accept this much help. Chet, look at me, Travis said firmly. You're not accepting help. You're accepting a job with benefits. This is what health insurance is for. But you only offered me the job because of what happened with the wallet. I offered you the job because you're qualified and because you're a good person. The wallet thing just helped me recognize those qualities. Dr. Williams looked between them with growing understanding. Mr. Kelce, are you the Travis Kelce, the football player? Yes, ma'am. And you two just met? A few days ago. Mr. Williamson, I don't know what you did to earn this man's respect, but I've been treating athletes 20 years, and I've never seen one go this far for someone they barely know. He returned my wallet, Travis said simply. Ran 3 blocks to do it. Dr. Williams smiled. That's it? That's it. But sometimes the smallest actions reveal the biggest truths about a person's character. As they left the doctor's office with prescriptions and a treatment plan, Chet was unusually quiet. Travis tried to give him space, but he was worried. Talk to me, Chet. What's going on in your head? I'm scared, Chet admitted. Not of dying. I've been ready for that for a while. I'm scared of owing you something I can never repay. You don't owe me anything. If anything, I owe you. How do you figure that? Because you reminded me why I play football. It's not for the money or the fame. It's for moments like this, for the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. They were interrupted by Travis's phone ringing. It was Montgomery Richardson, one of his oldest friends and his unofficial advisor on foundation matters. Travis, we need to talk. I've been hearing some things about this homeless guy you've been spending time with. What kind of things? Meet me at the office. Now. An hour later, Travis and Chet were sitting across from Montgomery in the Foundation's main conference. Montgomery was a tall, well-dressed man in his 40s who had made his fortune in investment banking before dedicating himself to philanthropic work. Travis, I've been doing some research, Montgomery began, his tone serious. Mr. Williamson, I'm not trying to attack you personally, but I have to look out for my friend's interests. I understand, Chet said quietly. There have been cases of people targeting wealthy athletes with elaborate schemes, fake emergencies, manufactured sob stories, carefully orchestrated encounter. Travis felt his jaw tighten. Monty, what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that you slow down, do proper background checks, make sure you're not being taken advantage of. I returned his wallet, Chet said, his voice barely above a whisper. That's all I did. And that's exactly what someone running a con would do. Build trust with a small, honest gesture to set up a bigger score. Travis stood up abruptly. That's enough, Monty. Travis, I'm trying to protect you. From what? From helping someone who needs it? From doing something good? From being manipulated by someone who's telling you exactly what you want to hear? Chet stood up as well. Mr. Richardson, I appreciate your concern for your friend, but I'm not running any kind of con. I'm just a man who made some bad choices and ended up on the street. Travis offered me a chance to get back on my feet, and I accepted it. That's what someone running a con would say. Monty, stop, Travis said firmly. You're out of line. Am I? Travis, you've known this man for 3 days. 3 days, and you're ready to give him a job, pay for his medical care, and trust him with a major construction project because he's earned that trust by returning a wallet? Travis, most people would return a wallet. Most people wouldn't run 3 blocks to do it. Most people wouldn't refuse a reward. Most people wouldn't have the integrity to do the right thing when no one was watching. Montgomery looked frustrated. I just think you should slow down. Get to know him better before you make such a big commitment. I know enough. I know that he's honest, that he's skilled, and that he's been dealt a bad hand but hasn't let it make him bitter. And you know that? How? Because I've spent time with him. Because I've seen how he treats other people. Because I've seen him make choices that cost him something, but were the right thing to do. Chet had been listening to this exchange with growing discomfort. Maybe Mr. Richardson is right. Maybe we should slow down. No, Travis said firmly. Monty, I respect your concern, but I'm not changing my mind. Chet has already started contributing to this project. His ideas are better than anything our previous consultants came up with, because he's telling you what you want to hear. Because he's lived through what we're trying to address. He understands the problem from the inside. Montgomery sighed. Travis, I've been your friend for 15 years. I've never seen you this emotionally invested in a stranger. Maybe that's because I've never met a stranger who reminded me so much of what really matters. As the tension in the room grew, Chet suddenly gripped his chest and doubled over. His face went pale, and he struggled to breathe. Chet! Travis was at his side immediately. What's wrong? Can't breathe. Chet gasped. Chest tight. Travis looked at Montgomery. Call 911. Now. I'm okay. Chet wheezed. Just need to sit down. No, you're not okay. You're having a cardiac episode. Montgomery was already on the phone with emergency service. Within minutes, they could hear sirens approaching. As the paramedics worked on Chet, checking his vitals and preparing him for transport, he grabbed Travis's arm. Don't let them take me to the hospital. I can't afford. Chet, you have insurance now. Remember? You're covered. But if I'm just a con artist, why would you care? Travis looked at his friend, then back at Chet. Because even if Monty's right, which he's not, the right thing to do is still the right thing to do. As they loaded Chet into the ambulance, Travis climbed in beside him. I'm not leaving you alone. Montgomery watched from the Foundation's entrance as the ambulance pulled away. Despite his concerns, he couldn't deny what he'd just witnessed. The fear in Travis's eyes, the genuine care in his voice, the way he'd immediately put aside their argument to focus on Chet's well-being. Maybe there was more to this situation than he'd initially thought. At the hospital, as Travis paced the emergency room waiting area, he realized something had shifted. This wasn't just about helping someone anymore. This was about family. In just 3 days, Chet had become family. The emergency room doctor, Dr. Jennifer Martinez, emerged with a serious expression. Travis stood up immediately. How is he? Travis asked. Stable, but Mr. Williamson had a cardiac event. His heart condition is more serious than initially thought. He needs immediate treatment and close monitoring. Travis found Chet in room 314, looking vulnerable against the white sheets with monitors beeping around him. How are you feeling? Travis asked. Like I got hit by a truck, but alive, thanks to you. If you hadn't insisted on insurance and that appointment, I'd probably be dead in an alley within weeks. Don't say that. It's true. Your friend was right to be suspicious. This is a lot of help for someone you barely know. Montgomery's wrong about you. I've seen who you are when you think no one's watching. Serafina arrived with flowers. The whole shelter is talking about what happened. People are calling it a miracle. Magnolia appeared next. I think telling this story is even more important now. Dr. Martinez returned with the treatment plan. Monthly blood work, quarterly EKGs, and medication. With proper treatment, he can work, but avoid high stress. After the doctor left, Chet said, I keep thinking about my daughter. She said she was proud, but scared I'd disappoint her again. You won't, because disappointing her would require you to stop being who you are. Travis stepped out to take Montgomery's call. I've been thinking about what I said. Montgomery's voice was softer. I was being cynical. Someone running a con wouldn't have refused payment or insisted on real work instead of charity. Thanks, Monty. Thaddeus Cromwell wants to donate materials and labor, says witnessing that day reminded him why he got into business. Back in the room, they discuss the housing project's scope. Chet's eyes lit up as he outlined comprehensive solutions, addressing job training, mental health services, and family reconnection. "We're not just talking," Chet said firmly. "We're planning." As they left the hospital, Chet asked, "Are you doing this because you feel sorry for me?" "No. 3 days ago, you reminded me that good people still exist, and sometimes good things happen to them." Percy called, offering help. That man gave all of us something to believe in. 2 weeks later, Chet commanded the Foundation conference room, explaining architectural plans to contractors and board members. The cardiac medication had transformed him completely. "The key is creating spaces that promote healing while maintaining dignity," Chet explained confidently. Travis watched with pride as Chet detailed the 30-unit facility, with job training programs and support service. Magnolia texted, "Article goes live tomorrow." Travis's phone rang. "Mr. Kelce, this is Emma Morrison. I think you know my father, Chester Williamson." "Emma, your dad talks about you constantly. I saw tomorrow's story. Is he really okay?" "He's thriving. Would you like to see what he's working on?" An hour later, Emma arrived. Through the glass wall, she watched her father, animated and confident, explaining construction detail. "He looks alive again," she whispered. "Hi, Dad," Emma said when Travis opened the door. "Emma, you're here." For an hour, Chet showed Emma the plan, explaining the vision to help veterans rebuild their lives and reconnect with family. "I'm proud of you," Emma said, embracing her father for the first time in 2 years. The next morning, Magnolia's article had gone viral. The Foundation's website crashed from donations. The NFL Players Association wanted to create the Wallet Project league-wide. The mayor wants to expand citywide. 3 other cities want similar programs, Magnolia reported. Despite the chaos, Chet worked calmly on plans. 3 weeks ago, I returned a wallet because it was right. Everything else is life responding to that choice. That afternoon, Travis found Chet on the roof deck. "Any regrets?" Travis asked. "Never. It was the right thing to do. You know what I keep thinking? Every night in the shelter, I designed better solutions in my head. You made impossible dreams possible. We made them possible, together." As the sun set, Travis realized the wallet had become unimportant. What mattered was friendship, shared purpose, and proof that people could still surprise each other. "You didn't just return my wallet," Travis said. "You returned my faith in people, and you offered me my life back. So we're even? We're family." 3 months later, at the Chester Williamson Veterans Center groundbreaking, Emma stood beside her father as he addressed supporters. "This represents the truth that one small action can change everything. Everyone deserves a second chance." Travis watched his friend step into the leader he was meant to be. The wallet was just leather now, but returning it had created ripples helping thousands. Sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest changes. Sometimes a wallet is just the beginning.